So New York City is basically at this point hell on earth. Why anyone want to live there or even visit, I just don't understand. Guys, as always, welcome to More Survival's channel. If you want to learn more about survival preparedness, you have a channel with a ton of information. I always recommend getting my books too. Street Survival Skills and Surviving the Economic Collapse. A lot of what we'll talk about in this video is addressed in Street Survival Skills in terms of awareness, understanding what's happening around you, keeping yourself safe, identifying potential threats, little decisions from EDC to the clothes you're wearing is stuff that is related to this. Let's watch the video and then comment.
Before 7:30 this morning, when our person of interest and the victim were both riding an F.
The person of interest is a wonderful, diverse person from Guatemala. Beautiful, enchanting place. But as it usually happens, there is a very strong tendency to have a certain demographic involved in certain not exactly legal type of activities all over the world, right? What is that? All immigrants are bad? No, I've been an immigrant more times than I care to remember. I've been an immigrant many times. There is a difference between being a fucking civilized person that gets along well with others and being a complete sociopath. Unfortunately, a lot of these people either come from very different backgrounds in terms of what their ideas of right or wrong are, or it's often the case that it's people that are escaping the country because they're criminals. They've been involved in crimes in their countries and they're looking for a fresh start, or maybe looking for a place in which, just because of the way they look, they will be allowed to get away with things that they're not allowed to get away in their own country. Yes, that happens too. And guess where they will be going? Exactly, that's where they go.
Train to the end of the line at Stillwell Avenue in Brooklyn. As the train pulled into the station, the suspect calmly walked up to the victim, who was in a seated position at the end of a subway car. The suspect used what we believe to be a lighter to ignite the victim's clothing, which became fully engulfed in a matter of seconds.
Clarifying based on some of the things commented, giving that there is a video, she was apparently asleep. She was not just sitting there. That would not make a whole lot of sense. She was not only sitting, she was sitting, and she was asleep, and she had a blanket on her, right? So it's a woman that cold New York winter, she had a blanket, and this guy, seeing that she was asleep, she just went in with a lighter. Yeah.
Officers who were on patrol on an upper level of that station smelled and saw smoke and went to investigate. What they saw was a person standing inside the train car, fully engulfed in flames. With the help of an MTA employee and a fire extinguisher, the flames were put out.
This guy lit her up and then he sat to watch her burn. That's what he did. This guy did just that.
Unfortunately, it was too late and the victim was pronounced on the scene. Unbeknownst to the officers who responded, the suspect had stayed on the scene and was seated on a bench on the platform just outside the train car. And the body-worn cameras on the responding officers produced a very clear, detailed look at the killer. After the NYPD disseminated those images, 3 high school-aged New Yorkers called 911 to say that they recognized the suspect.
And they found him, that was it. It is wild that this is happening.
Well, Jessica, it's one of
anywhere really, but it's no coincidence that these things, you see them more and more in these places, especially New York. New York City has become a safe haven for all sorts of nutcases, all sorts of crazy people, dangerous lunatics. That's what you find a lot in New York. It's no accident, it's no coincidence. It is a place that welcomes them. It's a place that shelters them. It's a place that they will find legal protection maybe better than anywhere else because of the liberal laws that they have. This Guatemala refugee, he will be treated far better than he would in his own country. Trust me on that. Believe me, that's going to be the case, right? And it's concerning, right? I get it that it's not something that happens every day, but it seems that in every day you have crazy people in New York City doing insane things to innocent bystanders. That's where what we do here it comes along. The idea of what is it? Can you have pepper spray? I don't know New York how it is. New York is fucking horrible for people that need to defend themselves. I think it's very bad in terms of even knives, but probably pepper spray is still an option. Of course, not going asleep on a train, that's always going to be a good idea. You're extremely vulnerable to this or a number of other potential threats. And last but not least, the clothes you're wearing. It is something that we don't often think about, but lately I've been. So I like having options like everyone else. And usually when you look at some of the sportswear, it's always going to be synthetic. It's always going to be plastic. Why? Because cotton retains water and humidity a lot more. It's not ideal if you're going to get wet, if you're going to get cold. Cotton, the saying that, well, cotton clothes is not a... There's a reason for it. It really does stay wet a lot more, and it will not dry nearly as fast, and you will be losing body temperature quite faster than if you have synthetics. Synthetics just dry a lot faster. Easier also if you have to wash it on the go and so on, which is a point I make in my books. But in general, I like cotton better. Why? Well, because of this, it is not nearly... I mean, it burns, it's flammable, but it's not nearly as... Cotton burns, synthetic melts. It's going to be melted. And I know of many years ago, I had a music teacher that she was cleaning a sweater, synthetic sweater. She was cleaning it with some kind of rubbing alcohol. I don't know what happened there. And she was also cooking. Yeah, that thing caught on fire. She was lucky enough to survive, but that thing melted. It burned her entire arm and a big part of her body and her neck. So it was very bad. But that's what happens when you have burning plastic. Burning plastic is no joke. So that's maybe something you want to keep in mind. And last thing is the idea of having clothing that is made of freaking plastic with all of those little fibers, constantly breathing that in, constantly on your body. I don't know, man. I'm no scientist here, but it just can't be good to have that exposure to plastic rubbing on your body all day long for who knows how long. So cotton is what I usually will go for unless I need specifically things that are a bit more synthetic, and I've written about this. It's just about you making your own decision, what works best for you. Folks, that's going to be all for now. See you in our next video. Take care.